I think we also could touch upon the $4 million seed fundraising that you just did for Leland. So there are founders out there looking to fundraise, but they're very unsure about whether this is the right time, especially with the recession news around the corner. Everybody's just hearing all rumors, the layoffs, and so many other things happening around us just after the giant news about pandemic. So uh, how did you do it? And in general, what tips do you have for someone who is looking to raise capital? And when would you say is the right time for them to think about?
Yeah. So, I mean, feel very lucky that we raised at the time that we raised. And I think that everything I say should probably be taken with a grain of salt because it is different right now. And I see that with a lot of friends and other founders. But deals are still getting funded and there's still, VCs that are active. So I don't think it's, it definitely hasn't stopped. Um, I think, there's a bunch of tactical tips you can get into around, running a process or whatever. But I think maybe more generally speaking, I would say get going on you don't need fundraising or you shouldn't need fundraising to get going. Um, just, and I think I've seen a lot of founders that will kind of dabble with ideas and then they'll like come up with an idea and then they'll try to raise off this idea. And that can work if you have this amazing track record. But for first time founders, I think you really need to convince the investor that you are doing this and this is happening. And and some investors won't believe you, but the ones that see it and they're like, wow, they've made a ton of progress in the last 6 months. They already have an MVP built. They already have customers transaction on the platform. Like you just kind of prove that you're in it and and this is real and you have some sort of insight. I think that really helps just getting some momentum going and showing kind of consistency over time, especially if you can tell them, you kind of show them over time. You can like have a conversation in the early days. You can then, continue to reach, they'll probably reach out to you. You reach out to them at times, but show them over 6 to 12 months, like, this is happening. I'm making progress. Um, I think ideally it's nice if you can build relationships with VCs before you meet them. That's hard. That's not always accessible for a lot of people. And I hate that that's just how the system works, but VCs have a lot of deals. And so they're going to think about the ones that are top of mind. And so trying to be in situations that give you access or, whether that's like, if you're in the US, it's probably like going to events and trying to
Mm.
get introductions or build relationships with people that, be in situations that allow you to build those relationships. If you're not in the US, like perhaps it's building an audience on social media. So people start to recognize your name, even though they're not, close to you. So I think it's like trying to do scrappy things that help people recognize you and see you as someone that is a doer. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I don't know. I think in terms of the timing, it's different for every business. I think, some people are able to raise off just a deck. Other people need to have some sort of progress. Um, and it can be frustrating as a founder when you're building a business and customers like what you're doing and you're seeing all this progress and then you're not getting progress on the
Yeah.
investor side. And the reality is it is just a different game. And I've made a ton of mistakes with this. I think there's a lot of different things. I feel like I'm a much better executor. Like I care a lot more about setting the vision for the company. I feel like I'm a much better founder when it comes to that than I probably
Mm.
am with fundraising. And I need to like flex that into
Yeah.
being a good fundraising CEO as well, because that's a super important part of things. So, I think there's a lot of tips out there, but those are just a few that I mentioned.
Yeah.